All right.
The evolution of the quarantine beards continues.
Slowly but surely, after August comes around, we're gonna just look like various Jesus prophets.
Yeah, we're just gonna look like oh man, Hagrid. My goal is a Hagrid kind of look, you know. God, look at this. This shit is getting so long. Anyway.
I just want an obsessive fan, if we ever get one of those, to just make a montage of the COVID beards evolution through these videos.
Yeah, like a stop motion kind of thing, like do.
By the end of 2020.
Right.
So, yeah. Looking through this week's releases, we came across hey, do you want to watch Shirley?
I was kind of looking forward to this because I think I saw a trailer before some other movie we were watching back when theaters were a thing, and actually was kind of intrigued. So
yeah, I remember getting a trailer a long time ago. I can't remember what movie it was for. It might have been the Portrait of the Woman on Fire.
No, it wasn't for that.
I
remember I saw that in a special artsy theater or something. But anyway, yeah. Elizabeth Moss, always down. Very, very much a fan. I enjoy her work.
Oh yeah, she's great. So Elizabeth Moss never picks uninteresting movies, whether they're good or bad.
Yeah. At the very least, you're going to get an interesting time, which I really appreciate. As someone who likes interesting movies, I really appreciate it. I don't mind sometimes if a movie's not great, as long as it keeps my attention with an interesting premise or something. I appreciate that.
Which of course brings us to Shirley.
Yeah.
What did you think about this?
I can see why most people would rate this a 6 out of 10. But it's definitely made for the kind of people that would get a little something more out of it.
I was going to say only 6.
Some people, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I can feel that some people would rate it that way, but I would not. I would rate it a strong 7 or a light 8.
I give it a solid 8 or 9. I really liked it. But
yeah, I really appreciated what this movie did. The performances are great. The plot is not exactly unpredictable, but that's not really the point.
No, definitely not.
If you wrote out the plot points, it would be okay, fine. But the script is great.
Absolutely, and the cinematography and the directing.
Oh, the directing is great. The choice of the artistic choices made throughout this movie are really fascinating.
Really, just play into this fascinating atmosphere. Again, you're not quite 100% sure where it's going, but you're still captivated, even when there's not a lot going on.
Yes.
Which is very, very impressive for a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one I definitely have to sit down and think about more in terms of what it was trying to say and do. Because I can tell it was definitely trying to play with some weightier themes. I feel like maybe I'm not exactly the best person to analyze.
Yeah, this is definitely. I could see how this would definitely speak to women in a deeper way. It's about a woman. It's written by a woman. It's based on a novel written by a woman. It's directed by a woman. There's definitely a very woman-centric perspective to it. And
during the patriarchy.
Well, it really does, because the husband in this is a horrible creep. He's
awesome.
Well, yeah, the other one definitely doesn't turn out too good either. But the professor is awful. He is just a creepy guy who's arrogant and disrespectful and mistreats people left and right. And he's just allowed to get away with it because he's a celebrated professor. And they highlight that. And the fact is that, Shirley isn't exactly the easiest person to get along with.
No.
Intentionally so. She intentionally makes shit uncomfortable. That's just kind of what she does. But it's kind of this weird, fucked up game that she plays with her husband. where like
they kind of fuck with each other, but she also kind of really likes doing it.
It's this thing where like, if I'm gonna be trapped in this marriage, I'm gonna make it difficult for you. And he's like, all right, well, at least it's amusing on some level. And even like that first dinner scene where she just detonates it pretty much, and then pushes it to the point where he just turns up the music. It's a fascinating dynamic. And I really appreciate how this movie is basically filmed like a horror movie for the most part.
Yeah, and the way it plays with parallels too. The more I think about it, the more it's like, okay, I kind of get at least what they were going for in terms of the comparison between Shirley and her husband and Rose and her husband. By the way, for those who have no clue what the hell we're talking about, I've never heard of this movie. The basic synopsis is takes place in 1920s, where this couple, Fred and Rose, go to what year does this movie take place in?
This is like the late 40s.
Late 40s. Okay, I'm tired.
Early 50s. This is I mean, Shirley Jackson, Hangs a Man was released in 1951. So I think it's safe to assume this happened in 1949 or so.
Okay.
Considering that it takes her the time to write it, and then I'm assuming there's like a whole process before publication. So
probably. No, that makes sense. But anyway, so they go live with this famous author who wrote The Lottery named Shirley Jackson, and whose husband is Professor Hyman, which I don't know if that was his actual name in real life, but it still makes it. Was it really?
Yes.
That is such an unfortunate name.
And someone's gonna break him eventually.
Hey. Anyway, Fred is a wannabe professor. He's trying to get in through Professor Hyman. Okay, I didn't mean that joke, but I came up with that one.
You did it anyway.
While Rose basically sits around and stays with Shirley, and they eventually form a bond, and they can't really go beyond that. They're going to spoiler territory, so I'm going to talk about general themes and try to keep it vague. But yeah, so from that perspective, the way they parallel Fred and Rose's relationship as the movie goes on with Shirley's and Stanley's, with his Professor Hyman's first name, is really, really fascinating. The way it ultimately concludes is like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. What are you looking at?
Just something popped up on IMDb. Apparently, there's a horror movie with Kevin James as a scary guy. You know, King of Queens, Here Comes the Boom.
I mean, if John Goodman can do it.
Yeah, but I'm just like, interesting. Okay.
Is that like recent?
Somewhat. Yeah, came out in 2020. It's called Becky. It does not look good. But it popped up under the more like this section for Shirley, which is bizarre.
I mean, they both have first names, so I guess.
Sure. Okay, we'll go with that.
That was very
anyway.
But yeah, so I was really fascinated by the general tone and just the way these characters talk to each other and the way the relationship plays out and how it discusses societal roles, and the bucking of those trends in a certain way while also staying rigid to them at the same time.
Yeah, these women know that they kind of can't actively leave the boxes they've been put in, but they're going to make it difficult for the people who are keeping them there.
Well, at least that's attention from the get-go. Rose is kind of reserved, and that's kind of her arc as it goes along.
Yeah, Rose takes a while to come around, but you see where it's kind of, you see the pieces of it as it goes through in terms of like how she trusts that things are going to be okay and what she's been told is going to happen, and you kind of already know that that's not what's going to happen, as does Shirley, like from the get-go.
Yeah, Shirley has no illusions of where she's at.
Oh, the box is slowly like sliding down, and I'm like, what is behind me? But yeah, Liz
Moss. Yeah.
But yeah, there was plug my phone in. There's a very interesting dynamic in this movie between the characters.
And the way it plays with reality, I think, is
yeah, it does have a mildly hallucinatory approach to its storytelling that I appreciate. But generally, it's the real flavor of the movie comes from the directional choices, like the lighting, the color palette, the cinematography. There's one shot early in the movie where it kind of pans down some cracks in the walls, and there's like the sound of fingernails scraping across wood almost, and it very much I'm dead certain that shot alone was specifically a reference to the yellow wallpaper.
I haven't seen that one.
But... It's not a movie. It's a book. Oh. It's a novella, short story, really. But it's really famous. It's especially for that era. I forget when it came out, probably the 1920s. But the whole idea of the yellow wallpaper was it's about a woman who is basically in her bed, and she's supposedly sick, and she's slowly losing her mind. And the room has yellow wallpaper, and as she's losing her mind over the course of this story, she starts to see things in the wallpaper, like shapes and people, and just it's a great story. I really recommend it. Oh wow, first published in 1892. Okay,
yellow wallpaper.
Yeah, yellow wallpaper. But the thing about it is that it really is the story of a woman who's basically she's imprisoned in a room, basically. And the whole idea is that she's going crazy from that. And I feel like it made that reference to show that, Shirley Jackson is basically going through a similar thing where she's isolated and she's kind of losing her mind. Yeah. And that's kind of the situation she's stuck in. But she's not, if
only she had Zoom meetings. Yeah.
But no, it's let's see, what is this? Yeah. So for the person who wrote the yellow wallpaper was big into how women were basically kept as second-class citizens by keeping women into domestic functions and letting men do the active work, so to speak. And like that was basically big into how gender norms and roles in society were. Here, I'll just read this from the Spark Notes. It says, the story reveals that this gender division had the effect of keeping women in a childish state of ignorance and preventing their full development. John's assumption of his own superior wisdom and maturity, John being the husband, leads him to misjudge, patronize, and dominate his wife, all in the name of, quote, helping her. The narrator is reduced to acting like a cross, petulant child, unable to stand up for herself without seeming unreasonable or disloyal. The narrator has no say in even the smallest details of her life, and she retreats into her obsessive fantasy, the only place she can retain some control and exercise the power of her mind. So,
yeah,
clear parallels.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that was not an intentional thing. And one of the things about, the yellow wallpaper was that it focused on things like the cracks in the walls and stuff like that. So, absolutely, I believe that was a specific reference. But I really like that. I really like that as an overarching theme where these women are kind of prisoner to these things, but they're not going to be stopped by it.
Yeah. Fuck, I don't know where you got the yellow wallpaper reference. I was like, God damn it, that was way smarter than I could have said just now.
It was a shot in the movie. Like, it's a single shot in the movie. The wallpaper in the house is yellow, but there's a specific shot in the movie early on, right before. It's a shot that, like, it pans along the crack in the ceiling and then the wallpaper, and then it leads down to Professor Hyman trying to get Shirley out of bed. It's very early in the movie.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty sure that was intentional.
I wouldn't believe it. I mean, the most I can really add to that is just like watching that. I just watched Under the Shadow on Netflix like last week, which used a very.
You were supposed to tell me.
I did tell you. Well, I forgot. I saw it.
You said you hadn't confirmed it.
That's true, but I need to watch it again because I need to remind myself a lot of what happened.
All right. Well, I need to watch it too, and we'll review it or something.
Yeah. We'll figure that out after.
All right.
This. But the point is, it uses a very similar like crack in the ceiling kind of thing, without giving any spoilers, as a metaphor throughout the movie. So it's kind of like, oh shit, I feel like I just saw this. And again, we kind of similar themes in terms of just isolation and madness and like. And well, in that case, like it was deliberate choice to stay isolated, but that's another
topic. Did you ever see Repulsion?
Society. What was that?
Did you ever see Repulsion?
Never saw that one.
God, it was a fucking. Oh, what was the director's name? He's basically exiled from everything because he.
Woody Allen?
No. Similar though.
Roman Polanski?
Yeah, Polanski. It's a Polanski movie, I think.
Ah, okay.
But it's a movie that was made a while ago, 1965. Yeah. But it's basically about a woman who's in her apartment and she's also slowly losing her mind. But one of the themes in the movie is there's a distinctive moment in the movie regarding cracks in the walls. So I feel like that's a
pattern here with women characters isolated in apartments for extended periods of times and kind of sort of horror
losing their minds. And the walls just falling apart. But yeah. Anyway, I appreciate this movie's reference to the yellow wallpaper and the fact that these are people who are clearly invested in the idea of like rebellious women's literature in a horror sense, if that makes any sense.
No, that does bring up a good point, because a lot of how Shirley receives validation and also able to separate herself from her society is through her writing. It's the only really outlet she's allowed to be that subversive. But every other way she's trapped. And the more I think about it, the more I think I kind of pick apart the layers of this. It's actually very fascinating. Especially now that you brought the yellow wallpaper. That's a great comparison.
I recommend reading this story. It's impossible that it's not free to find, but it's a really good story and it's not that long.
I have nothing but time.
Yeah, so check it out. But yeah, this kind of follows in that great tradition of women rebelling against their designated place in society because that's what's keeping them prisoner. And I liked how this movie did it. I liked how she interacted with Rosie. I liked how that relationship grew. I like the vulnerability of both of them as the movie progressed and how they came to depend on each other in certain ways.
It's like goddamn Elizabeth Moss. Even in like the kitchen, I've never seen her give her a bad performance.
Yeah. I forgot she was in the kitchen. I forgot about the kitchen.
I have not.
Yeah. Well, thanks
for. I remember she was the only good part in it.
Yes, she was.
And the Invisible Man, of course, which you and I both loved.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. But this is another thing. Like, kind of in the same vein as The Invisible Man is a movie that we adored, but kind of has not had the greatest reviews around the board. Like, there's a lot of people who just don't appreciate that kind of filmmaking.
Yeah.
And
it's right. Yeah, I can't talk today. It was clearly our shit, but yeah, I was kind of surprised when I found out. I was like, oh, really? And everyone else kind of felt this way about it? Okay.
Yeah. I was kind of shocked at the reviews for it because it was a fantastic film. So I think this is going to be another one of those movies where it's not going to be loved by everybody. It's going to get a mediocre, average review, but
actually, I personally respect have loved it, so maybe not.
That's I think that it's going to be one of those things that not everyone can appreciate.
That's true. Maybe it won't connect with everybody.
And I think it's just a more cerebral kind of movie that you got to be a little more patient with. You got to be open to like slightly more abstract filmmaking. It's not super abstract, but it's it's far enough from the norm that it's not going to be like an exciting night at the movies. It's a movie that's, you know, you're meant to think about and connect with the characters and just kind of go with the story as it develops. Like, it takes its time. It's not super fast paced. It's interesting. It's just like,
I mean, kind of the same vein like The Portrait of Lady on Fire or anything like that. You know, it's one of those ones you're not going in there because you're looking for a high pace. You're looking there because you want like a slow character study.
Yeah. And no, I highly recommend this to anyone who wants an interesting movie with interesting characters and interesting themes. It's not exciting. It's just really interesting, and I love that. I really love that.
And the more I think about it, the more I kind of dissect it, the more I'm falling more in love with the movie. I was like, oh, that was like really good. That was really clever. That was really interesting. Yeah. It's definitely a movie you have to kind of sit with after you watch it and just kind of just think about it for a little while.
Yeah.
But like, it really does have a powerful overall message, I would say, or at least a powerful perspective.
Yeah.
Especially in the speech that Elizabeth Moss gives closer to the end of the film, which I won't spoil.
Yeah.
But that kind of like, if you weren't catching the themes by then, that one kind of puts a direct spotlight on it.
Yeah.
We're just like, okay, because at this point I'm like, where is this going? I mean, I got bits and pieces, but I'm not as quick on the fly as I'd like to be.
Yeah. I'd give this an 8 personally.
I'm more an 8. I'm leaning more towards 8.59.
Yeah.
8.529, not 8.5.
Yeah.
Like,
I like to go down to the second decimal with my reviews.
Oh God! What kind of pretentious douchebag would I be if that's how I did reviews?
I mean, I think it would be hilarious if we just did that arbitrarily. Like, just like, I give it an 8.5. You know what? No, 8.59. That's not quite an 8.6. Just shy.
Yeah, just like, hey, Muha, do you like pie? Because I give this movie a 3.1497. Anyway.
Oh God.
That's probably not even right, but I'm sure someone's gonna correct me in the comments. But
yeah.
Actually, the fourth digit of pi is aim.
But yeah. Anyway, this movie's on Hulu right now.
Yeah.
You can watch it if you have Hulu. You don't have to buy it or rent it. It's just right there.
Yeah.
There's yeah, like, you got nothing to lose in that case. But it's still even if you don't, like, it's worth at least a rental. Absolutely. And some people might love it enough that it's worth buying because it's really interesting in how it structures its narrative and how the characters evolve throughout the movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I think this movie's going to get an audience. I think it's going to get the right kind of audience. I think people are going to watch the trailer are going to know if they're going to like this or not.
Let's hope. Let's hope, because there's a matter of, like, everyone's really distracted by a lot of stuff right now.
I mean, this is arguably one of the best movies we've seen this year. Granted, given the current offerings, that's not the most.
I don't know, man. When I think about what we've seen so far this year that really stands out, there's The Invisible Man, and there's Gretel and Hansel.
Gretel and Hansel has not had the most staying power with me, I will say, over time. I still really, really liked it, but it has not stuck with me as well as I would have liked.
I think if you watched it again, you might remember, because it's something where the atmosphere is a good part of the feeling that you get from it.
Mm-hmm. Also noticed a theme between the three movies.
Astonishingly good. Yeah. Yeah. They're all pretty dark movies. So, anyway.
It's no guns akimbo. But...
Oh yeah, no, that was fun. That was a good time. But yeah, I think that pretty much hits all the bases for me.
Yeah, without going into spoilers, I agree. I think we hit everything. I said everything we really can say about it. I recommend it. I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah, I don't think we need to even get into spoiler territory.
No, I'd rather keep this one dry. You know, spoiler free as much as possible. Like, go watch it. Go see it. Go explore it for yourself. I mean, there's not like there's a deep plot, so there's not much I really could spoil. But still, all the same, it's a discovery worth making yourself.
Yeah.
And I encourage everyone watching this to do so, because I think it's a fascinating trip. Unless you've watched the trailer and said this looks like a bunch of pretentious horse shit, in which case you're probably not gonna like it. Yeah. So I think that's all we got for that. I don't know what we're gonna do next.
Under the Shadow.
We'll do Under the Shadow. We'll do Under the Shadow next.
Sure. No, we still have to. We have to get the ball rolling on that. The other thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
We have a whole list.
We talked it after the last review, and it's made this giant list of like movies we can watch at any time.
Yeah, movies that were like from the past few years that people just haven't heard about or like just have kind of gone under the radar.
At this point, we're just killing time before Artemis Fowl comes out because that's going to be a masterpiece.
Is that sarcasm?
It is sarcasm. Did you ever read the book Artemis Fowl when you were a kid?
No.
It is like the most. If you watch the trailer, you could tell right away they took the cliff notes, and that was.
No.
Because like
you're gonna Aragon it basically.
It's gonna be bad. Because like I watched the trailer. Here's the main reason like the person who made the movie does not give a shit about the book, even though the author of the book helped make it. Artemis Fowl is the villain in the first book. The whole thing is he kidnaps a fairy and to get a bunch of fucking money, not because he needs it, just because he wants to prove he can do it.
Okay.
He's kind of a little shit. So the whole book is a hostage book, and then he slowly gets better as the books go on. But this one's like, he has to fight off a bunch of like fairy monsters and stuff like that. It's like, motherfucker, you didn't even try.
All right. Maybe it's based on a later book in the series. Who knows?
It's not.
Oh, well then. I guess
read the first.
All right. Well, I don't know. I don't care. So I can't say. I can't speak to it. It doesn't matter to me. Hey.
Oh man. But anyway, yeah, we'll have like better movies to watch between now and then, and whatever else comes out next week, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
we have a list.
We do. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for watching. See you all next time.